Okay, so you guys have successfully calmed down the crowd at the Ravenholm Tavern to prevent them from either trying to flee to a nearby larger town in the Dales, or by um, you know just like running off as like an impromptu militia of poorly trained, poorly armed country folk. Um, Everyone might be, they might actually barricade their doors tonight when they go to sleep. Maybe they'll worry a little bit about whatever's prowling in the fields, but they're not going to be in danger right now. So with everybody kind of taking a breath, including you three, tell me what each of you are. Tell me what each of your characters are thinking right now. What kind of plan of action you're kind of thinking. Let's start with Dunny.
So Dunny's first concern is the black lines that had spread up to the middle of his arm. He has he's still with our group here, but he's kind of moved towards the edge of where the people are so that he could take a look under what he had wrapped his arm with.
Okay.
And he's kind of lost in thought over the weird markings on the armor that he doesn't recognize, because that's really strange.
Yeah, it's very unusual. You do bring something to mind that I wanted to bring up. Since you all are taking a moment here to rest, unfortunately, Dunny's poisoned one status doesn't go away, but the rest of you lose whatever temporary statuses you had, which I think was nauseated for Lissa and stressed and nauseated for Fry. Those are gone. Unfortunately, Dunny still poisoned.
The tea is definitely helping. Thank you, Fry, for bringing this out.
So Dunny,
Fry is just so exhausted. He just thumbs up.
Let's go to Fry then. Fry, how are you feeling? What are you thinking? What's Fry's state of mind right now?
Fry's state of mind is, why are there so many dishes? But on top of that, he's looking at Dunny's arm and wondering if there's anything. After serving all that food and wading through the impending mountain of dishes that need to get washed, Fry's trying to do a mental inventory of maybe there's some ingredient back in the tavern stocks that could help Dunny feel better.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that comes to mind is maybe if you got Dunny really drunk, he wouldn't care anymore. But that whenever the people in Ravenholm get some kind of ailment that they can't really deal with ordinarily, like an illness that's not commonly seen in the village, there is an old lady who lives way out in the woods, near where. So Ravenholm is kind of in the middle of, aside from what's been cleared for barley fields, is kind of surrounded by woods and a river on one side, and then aside from that, is surrounded by a ring of hills that quickly turn into mountains. Ravenholm is almost in like a little bowl valley. And in the woods, near where the hills start to get way too hilly, you remember that there is an old lady out there whose name I will come up with in a second. But she has some knowledge of the old ways, and she helps sometimes in extremely weird and mysterious ways with ailments that people don't quite know how to deal with. So you're like, well, I don't really know if I have anything back here that can help Dunny, but maybe I'll recommend he goes and talks to the wise old lady in the woods. Lissa, how's Lissa doing right now?
I mean, I'm a little torn because I'm worried about Dunny, because I have tagged our relationship as he's my replacement little brother, and he's looked better, but also this is terrifying, but also really exciting. We have to see if there are more of them out there.
Yeah, this is one of the most interesting things to happen in this town in ages. Also, I'm going to say so I don't forget it. The wise old lady's name is Oden, and she lives way out in the woods. Because she claims it helps her practice the old ways better, and also sometimes people can be judgmental even about things that help them when they don't understand them, and nobody really understands the old ways in town. Go ahead. You were saying? Besides, Dunny's arm is a little concerning looking. Like it doesn't seem to be spreading, but he's hurting over there. And you're both probably able to see him kind of like peeking under his impromptu bandages.
So we got to do something about that. That's important, but also to keep the town safe, and definitely not just because I'm really curious and I want to see what's going on out there. We do need to figure out if there are more of these things, and if any of them are any of them still out there. So I kind of got two lines of thinking that I'm torn between right now.
That's fair. Okay, so you guys can kind of get back together after. I think eventually everyone kind of filters out of the inn, or out of the tavern. They kind of go back about their business. It's getting, let's see, it was just after lunch before. I'd say it's probably like early afternoon at this point. So you guys all kind of have your own thoughts, your plan of action. It kind of sounds like most of you want to go find out what's out there, whether it's a cure for Dunny or more weird zombies. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me what you all want to do. Tell me what
So
you're.
Fry's not geeked about going to go look for more zombies, and he tries to reason with Lissa, like, I mean, you saw what happened to Dunny's arm. Like, this could happen to any one of us. No offense, Dunny.
And that's
Like, we're gonna get you help.
That's a really good reason to go and seek out the wise woman, because if there are any more of them, we're gonna need to know how to help people. I think we were really lucky that only Dunny got really hurt.
Again, no offense, Dunny. We're looking at him like he's just right there. You're the only one who had anything bad with him.
We're just having this conversation in front of you.
Like, Fry's like, she's making really good points, but he's also like, I don't want to die. But eventually, Fry's relationship tag with Lissa is childhood friends, and he's not going to let her go off on her own. And we won't
go out hunting zombies, but we need to find out a cure, a salve, or something for this ooze.
Fry is just looking at Dunny's arm, and looks at Dunny's pain expression, and then just sighs. Okay. I think I know something that could help. And he's gonna go into the back of the kitchen, grab a few loaves of bread, some cheese, and that's about it. Like, anything that can last. And he's just, I know we usually send someone to give Oden some supplies every now and then. We just can't let her out there by herself like that. So I will bring this. Hopefully she'll see it as a bonus. Smooth some things over just in case.
Okay. Dunny, what do you think about all this? Your friends are clearly fussing over you. Kind of in front of you.
Yeah, that's usually Dunny's thing, is to fuss over other people. So he's not super thrilled with this. He's like, I'm fine. Guys, I'm fine. It hurts. It's fine. It's like a bee sting. It'll be fine. But we need to do something. Like, we need to figure this out. We have to do something to protect the village. Like, the guard's not back. They have to go find McCree. So who else is going to do something but us?
Alrighty. Sounds like the three of you are in agreement then. Go ahead.
It did seem like a lot of people wanted to do something, but I suspect if they went out there in a mob, they would not do anything positive.
Probably not. I will say that Warden McCree does return after the he did kind of come back after everybody had kind of settled down. Someone explains the situation to him, and he is his intention is to kind of post up in the village and make sure that if anything tries to reach the village, that it has to go through him first. But he's just one guy, so he's not going to go off on his own to, because if he's already kind of kicking himself for being away when this happened. So he is. There's like a little station for whichever Red Warden is currently posted here, and Warden McCree is. He's on guard, I guess is what I would say, for any further threats to the village. So.
Hey, Phil, question for you.
Mm-hmm.
So if something were to happen in an outlying village like this, they would go to like the major city to get like the guards to come and help, right?
So what would likely happen is someone would have to go to the next bigger village in the Dale and get the 3 or 4 Red Wardens who may be posted there to come back and help. Ravenholm is isolated even for a Dalish village, and it is way far away from Stormhelm, which is kind of you don't know a lot of people who've even made the trip to and from Stormhelm. It's far enough away that it's both dangerous and inconvenient. And why would you want to go to the big city anyway? We have everything we need here.
Okay. I was just wondering if like that would be their goal, would be, oh hey, we should go and get help for the village.
You could. It would take you probably several days, and at this point, you're not sure how much luck you would have convincing them to come because, as Alderman Beeks pointed out, you've seen one zombie, and it was dispatched by 3 ordinary villagers. We didn't even need a warden for it, so it might be a little hard to convince people. Hey, can you come back for something that might be threatening our village?
And we don't know if there are more of them yet. I assume Warden McCree didn't see anything while he was patrolling, or we would have heard about that.
He did not. He did not mention anything out of the ordinary at all.
Yeah, so
he will, if asked, because he is better at tracking than any of you, because you did have those wet footprints. He could probably try and track the direction they were coming from.
Yes, I will talk to him about that because I did go looking at them, and I am an expert tracker, but not really. I could use some professional help.
Okay. Are the other 2 of you going with her? Because
Yes.
If you're intending to leave town to go visit Oden, which was kind of one of the stops I did hear everyone kind of agree on, this would be on the way. That's what we'll say.
Okay.
Okay. So one other thing I'll allow you to do is if you would like to swap whatever is in your backpack out for another item right now, think of it as packing for a trip. And then while you're deciding if you want to do that, I'll go ahead and describe this scene with the Red Warden. So Warden McCree, kind of a middle-aged scruffy guy who's out in the woods a lot. But when you ask him for help with this, he's kind of happy to. Like I said, he was already feeling a little guilty for not being around earlier when everything was going down, so he is happy to help in any way he can. And he will, he kind of goes out where these footprints still are. It's still overcast. It still hasn't rained. These footprints are still wet, which is weird. And he kind of crouches down. He's kind of, he kind of touches he has gloved hands, kind of touches the moisture at the bottom of these things, and he kind of smells the water, and he kind of looks where they're coming from, and he says, well, there's only a couple options I can think of, unless I think you'd have seen it if that thing came crawling out of the river towards the town today. Up in the woods a ways, out past old Miss Oden's house, there's some old watchtower. We don't really know what they were watching out that way. It's old. But at this point, it's also about half sank into the earth, and there's a pond inside it. And this kind of has that And he kind of these footprints kind of have like that brackish, like swampy, pondy kind of smell to it. I think maybe whatever this thing was, maybe it came from there. As weird as that sounds. I've never seen anything up there, but that would be my suggestion. Are you folks heading out?
I
I've
I look over at the other two before I say anything.
I've just, I've spent a lot of time working on metalwork for the village, and I've never seen armor like this before. This is something else. I'd really like to know where it come from.
He kind of nods and says, "All right, well, I can understand wanting to indulge your curiosity, and Miss Lissa, I know you've always been interested in following in your brother's footsteps. Y'all, please be careful out there on the road. I'd hate for something to happen to one of y'all."
As we leave, or as I'm guessing he turns to eventually go back to his post, I'm going to tell him, just float the idea to him. It's not an outright lie, but it's kind of a lie. Where he's just saying, "Oh, McCree, if you ever want to just keep everyone in one place, Ches says the tavern's open to anyone who needs it."
And he kind of nods. He says, "Well, that's mighty nice of him. Nicer than I kind of expect him to be, but I guess he is a sensible man deep down. So thank you for letting me know."
Oh yeah, of course. And then as he turns away, Fry just chuckles.
Alrighty. So, is anybody changing what they're carrying with them before y'all pack your stuff and head out on the road?
I like having my spyglass, but I think I probably have like I'm calling it a quarterstaff, but it's probably more like a walking stick or maybe like an old oar or something that's broken. And
actually, go ahead and I was going to say, go ahead and take both of those. I think that's probably fine.
Yes, I have something I can hit things with and use my strength. Maybe.
Anybody else packing anything for the road?
I was going to swap out. Oh, go ahead.
I'm gonna keep the thick leather apron as its impromptu armor.
Yeah. Blacksmith's aprons are heavy, man. Okay, and Fry.
I think I might need to just I don't know how long we're going to be on the road. I'm assuming not that long, but while I'm torn between a bag of salt and spices, I think I might just bring a prep knife just to be able to whip something up for us if we need to be out longer than needed.
Okay. Also add the supplies for Oden tag to your backpack because you're carrying the food for her to you're taking to the wise old lady.
Yep.
You need help carrying all that?
Oh no, I got it's the satchel of the supplies is easy enough to sling over my back, and the prep knife is like in its own little sheath on my hip.
Alrighty. Okay, so you all kind of head out. First you head to the ferry, and Alyssa actually gets to take herself across the ferry. Maybe explaining to your mom what happened so that she'll bring it back. But you are the three of you cross the river, and you are well and truly outside of Ravenholm. And you're out in the woods. The woods, like once you get past the barley fields and once you get past the river, especially the woods around Ravenholm, like press in on you suddenly. They are very dense, and it's honestly a little spooky, especially as the sun kind of gets low in the sky. How many have any of you actually been on a? Have you ever actually traveled out of your village before?
I think Dunny has, just because he's done some work with like different ores and traveling to like give people stuff they've made.
Okay, yeah, see, Dunny's probably the one who's most likely been to the neighboring town whose name I've just forgot. Barleytown. There we go, which is a ways to the northwest. You won't really you won't reach that in this trip unless something goes terribly wrong. Uh,
I would say
We're
Fry's been out
capable of
to.
making things go terribly wrong. It's a skill.
Oh yeah,
hopefully not like that, but yes.
it is a power and a weakness tag. I'd say Fry hasn't traveled to Barleytown, but he's been to other towns that are a bit out there. Not dangerous trips, but just to try and learn from other cooks. They've never been long trips, but yeah.
Okay. All right. So the first part of your trip through the woods is kind of, like I said, it's spooky. Maybe there's like some ominous cawing of birds in the distance, but you're not suddenly beset by a zombie or anything, and that's really nice. But uneventful, I guess is how I would put it. As you start to come to a extremely large clearing where kind of in the distance, you can see maybe an old farmhouse, but you can even tell from the road that farmhouse is kind of like parts of it have fallen in. No one's living there at this point. And there's a field where it even looks like whatever they grew there the last time someone lived here is kind of mold, kind of like basically it's almost like someone up and left, or up and in this case died, and their crops just kind of were left to return to the earth. But perhaps most troubling for people who are on the road right now is there is a cloud of incredibly thick fog that kind of sets in suddenly, and kind of makes it hard to see where you're going even on the roads. Like you get a glimpse of the field and this house, and you're like, let's keep going, and fog. What would you all like to do?
How long have we been on the road?
You have been on the road long enough that if you probably will need to find somewhere to camp down for the night, and finish traveling to Odense in the morning.
Do we risk? Go ahead, Liz.
Would this be a good place to camp, despite the creepy fog? At least it's a place with walls and.
I would say maybe your creepy, maybe the farmhouse would, like it's not completely fallen in. It would provide maybe some shelter if rain does set in.
Right. Is gonna jokingly ask Lissa, "Hey, are there any stories about bad things happening in abandoned buildings like this?"
Yes, definitely yes. But they're stories. Maybe not every abandoned building can be like that, I think. But it's some shelter as opposed to sitting out here in the fog with no shelter.
That's fair. I would also say, I guess, walking corpses were parts of stories too, but here we are.
And Chris, you were starting to say something?
Yeah, we should probably not wander through the fog, especially if there's now things that we didn't know were real that are suddenly real. Probably not the best to wander through the night when we don't know what's really going on. So maybe we should spend the night in the abandoned creepy house.
Okay.
We fought a zombie today. How creepy could this be?
Oh, thank you for asking. So as you guys make your way towards the old creepy farmhouse, it does turn out to be a good decision, because that fog is kind of spreading, and as you're walking through the fog, you almost think you hear something like leaves rustling, and you're like, well, we just left the woods. That makes sense. And you almost see a strange silhouette at the corner of your eyes, but maybe you're just jumpy because there were zombies today. And then you kind of start to smell a smell. It's like half the... You vaguely remember how that black ooze pond water stuff smelled. Yeah. A word you don't really have words for it. You just know it was wrong. But also the smell of rotting pumpkins. You can make it to the house, but you get the distinct feeling that something is watching you. What would you like to do? We'll say you're at this old farmhouse now. It's kind of it's really just kind of a simple like a 3-room structure. The back room, which probably would have been a kind of a bedroom, is collapsed in on itself. But the center room, which kind of has a an old dining table and like a hearth, is okay, and the front room, which just has some places for sitting, are also, those 2 rooms are intact, but the bedroom in the back, of course, is unusable, and that fog is slowly surrounding the whole house. What would you all like to do?
I'm going to take the time as we get in to look around. I'm invoking a power tag of structural weak points to see and make sure that the building's not going to collapse on us as we're in it.
Yeah, that's fine. You think as long as it doesn't get hit by an extremely strong wind, you should be fine. It's it's there was some rot in the roof in the back, you can probably guess, and so it's the walls are actually okay back there. It's more that the roof kind of fell in that room. You don't think it spread to the other 2 rooms, so it's not, you don't think, as far as you can tell, that you have to worry about the roof falling in on you if you spend the night in this house.
All right.
While Dunny's looking around, I want to ask him for help grabbing some wood that's usable to make a fire.
I was also planning on doing this, so I can help you with this.
Yes.
Okay.
Any
I'll
downed
ask
branches or twigs or anything, because we're going to want some light to fight this fog, I think.
I think you probably will. Okay, so you head out because you know that Lissa, you know that most of these houses have like a stock of firewood outside, most likely covered to protect it from the elements. And so you're like, I'll check outside the house, and you walk out the front door and you start to head around the side of the house, and you're like, man, this fog is thick, and you hear that rustling sound again, and you are going to take the status restrained 2. As you hear that rustling sound amp up, and suddenly you look down as you try to take a step and your leg won't move, and you realize there are vines wrapped around your legs, and you feel them tugging like something is attempting to pull you out into the fog. Fry, Dunny, Lissa went outside for wood. She hasn't come back in yet. What would you 2 like to do?
Go outside.
Yep. It's one of those like, oh, she hasn't come back. We need to get outside and figure out where she went.
A good plan. Hooray, your friends don't leave you to die. So you walk outside, and you guys kind of see again in the distance. You think you see that strange silhouette. It's a little closer now. It's not the corner of your eye. You weren't imagining it. And also, you see vines snaking out of the fog and wrap. You almost stumble on Lissa, and she has these thick vines wrapped around her legs. At this point, I'm going to say you guys are up against a challenge, although you don't know what. Who would like to go first, and what would you like to do?
I'll go first as Dunny, if you guys don't mind.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Dunny, still having Dad's sword, is gonna cut Lissa free.
Okay, so you are going to attack the vines that it has.
Yes.
Let's go ahead and do a roll.
Oh, are we back to mastercrafted weapon test of strength?
I said whatever ones you think are relevant. I'm not. You make the case for it.
Okay. I'm going to say mastercrafted weapon test of strength because we don't know how strong the vines are, and probably help those in need because it's Lissa.
Oh, okay.
So that would be +3, but -1 for the poison. So
Okay.
+2.
Yep.
Let me get a good roll here, and let's see. Oh, Jesus. Okay. That's an 11 + 2. That's a 13.
Whoa!
Okay.
What?
All right. So a few things are going to happen at once here. So you roll a 13. What you actually end up rolling is an 11, which is still a success. As you swing at this thing, and you're like, I should be able to cut vines with this sword. And it feels like cutting into a tree, not a vine. Like your sword just like thunks into these vines, and you're like, what in the heck? But you are a literal mountain of a man, and so like you push through these vines and slice them. So you have, so what was that plus to your roll? It was like a plus 4 or something.
It was +3, but then it was -1 for the poison.
Right. So 2. So you have 2 power to spend on this detailed roll. You can either so it's got some statuses of its own. You can now smell this thing, and you can see it moving closer. It has these tags of foul stench and animated vines. It doesn't have any statuses yet, and Lissa has the restrained 2 status, which 2 power would remove that from her. I'm guessing that's what you would like to do.
Yes, let's remove that from Lissa.
It makes sense. Okay.
You.
So Lissa, you can erase that status. These vines, like, and when they cut free, they kind of like flop on the ground angrily, like almost like a weird snake, and then they lie dead, and they deflate, and you see ooze, the same kind of ooze that was in Dunny's arm. Like, it's like, I mean, you lose sight of it in the fog, of course, but it kind of like falls into the earth, and now you can see and you can clearly smell what almost looks like, imagine a giant pile of pumpkins. And now imagine that they have vines intertwined all through them. A giant, like a giant creature made up primarily of pumpkins and vines and black ooze that kind of connects it all. And it kind of comes shambling quickly, quicker than the zombie, kind of rolling, like half shambling, half rolling out of the fog at you. And you are facing off against this creature, which, Lissa, with your knowledge of all things weird and fairy tale, you have heard the legend of the moldering jack. Where old pumpkins left to rot in the fields can balloon in size and take a certain sadistic pleasure in eating farm animals, pets, and wayward travelers. But the thing that gives you the clue that this is definitely a moldering jack is that one of the pumpkins has a terribly wicked grin upon it and a toothy maw inside. Fry, what would you like to do?
Fry's beside himself with what's happening in front of his face, and so Lissa was able to find a wood pile, right?
Yes, she is. Yeah, she is. The wood pile is maybe 3 or 4 steps away.
Okay, I want to grab one of the pieces of wood and use one of my power tags, simple magic tricks, to try and light it on fire.
Okay. So I also want to ask while you're doing this before you roll, have you guys ever seen Fry do magic?
Have we, Fry? Has this been a thing?
So this part of this is when Fry uses simple magic tricks, he's usually using it to like cut corners in cooking. That's why no one notices. So he blends it into like if something like the stove goes out, he'll snap his fingers and cause a spark to go to be able to light the stove again. It's part of the reason why he's so good at measuring, because it's kind of like just like a thought. He thinks about how much he needs, and then it like wills
He's got
itself
exactly
into
that
a
much.
pile.
Yeah. You're probably the only person in this world who's ever made like, you know, that like the smooth measuring cup measurement where you like, you know, take whatever powder you're doing, like take the top off the top and it's perfectly smooth. Fry can do that with his mind. So Fry picks up a log and lights it on fire. Are you going to attack it in some way with this log?
Yeah, I'm throwing this flaming log at the smiling pumpkin head.
Alrighty, yeah. It's also so. Go ahead and give me a roll. Also note that this is nice because it is clearing up some of the fog around you, kind of burning it away, almost literally.
All right, so that's just the one. Simple magic tricks is just so 2d6 + 1.
Okay. Yeah, if that's the only one you think applies, yes. So I'm leaving some of this up to you guys for
dexterity coordination.
That makes sense. You're kind of you're throwing this thing at it. You need to be able to aim for the mouth.
Yep. So +2. will be total of 8. 4 plus 2 plus 2.
Okay. So 4 plus 2, and it was 2 power. So you can spend your 2 power on statuses and tags, and then I will tell you about the consequence that you'll be getting.
Okay, so Lissa doesn't have a status anymore.
Correct.
Which means that
So,
I want to take away one of the tags.
Okay. Foul stench or animated vines. Or you can also add a new tag to it if you can think of something like, well, not on fire, that's a status. The way to think about it is things that are kind of permanent effects until gotten rid of are tags, whereas things that are temporary would be statuses. So like on fire would be a status.
Okay.
Or if you want to get rid of one of its tags somehow, you can. Like I could see using your fire to either burn out its animated vines, or maybe like the smoke smell overcomes the stench. I could see either one of those being reasonable.
I'd say let's the fire burning out the vine.
The vines. Okay. So it loses the tag animated vines. You catch one of its vines, and they may have been resistant to the bladed weapons that Dunny was swinging, but it is not resistant to fire. And it shrieks in like 10 horrible voices at once and thrashes as its vines that it's trying to snake out at this wood and like lash it away, and as it's reaching them, they're burning away. It loses the tag animated vines. However, it does manage to do one thing before it loses them, which is it manages to grab the wood that's burning and fling it into the fog behind you, or behind it. God. So your fire is now somewhere out in the middle of the fields. Lissa, what are you doing?
Okay, this is a lot. This is a big day.
This is a lot.
She is scrambling back up to her feet, and she had her quarterstaff on her back. Yes. And she's pulling that out from wherever it was strapped, and she wants to swing at one of these pumpkins and like just smack it.
Okay, I love it. Yes, let's get the roll.
Let me think. What do I have?
So yeah, quite a bit revolving around being strong. You do get +1 for the quarterstaff.
Yes.
Remember, because that is
+1 for the quarterstaff.
It's a backpack tag.
Gloves for a better grip. So I've got this. Protect our own.
Yep, these are your own.
We're all fighting this thing together. That's all I'm thinking.
Okay. So protect our own, quarterstaff, gloves for a better grip. That's 3. That sounds good to me. Go ahead and roll.
That's definitely. I rolled 2 1s.
Ooh.
I'm gonna throw all of these dice in the trash.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is always a failure.
Yeah.
No matter how many pluses you have. So you go to swing at this thing, and as you're swinging, you're like trying to remember what you remember about the Moldering Jack, about the legend of Moldering Jack. And as you swing this quarterstaff, you remember, it only fears the tools that are used to reap the harvest, and your quarterstaff bounces completely effortlessly off of its face. And as you got closer to do this, you are going to take the tag moldy 2, as it sprays like this weird spores of mold on you, and you just start coughing and wheezing. Lissa, you now have the status moldy 2.
Okay.
Delicious.
Just delightful. Dunny, what would you like to do?
Oh, jeez. You know what? We're going in. We gotta try and stab that happy face with the sword.
You take that smile off its face.
Yep.
All right, man. Let's go for it. Add up your power and let's get a roll.
All right. Let's see. I think we're still shooting with structural weak points. That's a face. That should hopefully be a structural weak point.
Face strikes me as a structural weak point. Sure.
Test of strength. We already know that the sword had a hard time with the vines. Hopefully, not as much with pumpkin face.
Okay.
Help those in need, which are our friends, which also have their back with Lissa.
Yep. Okay.
And good old master crafted weapon.
We do love master crafted weapon.
That's +5. -1.
-1 because you're
for poison.
Yep. So 4.
That's a 9.
Okay. Okay. So 9 is definitely a success. Go ahead and spend your 4 power. Which I'll remind you, this thing has 1 tag and no statuses. I don't know if there is a narrative way you could describe getting rid of the stench with your sword, but
no. But so statuses were like temporary, right?
yeah, things like frightened or hurt or clobbered or on fire or moldy, things like that. And remember, so the idea is if you want to try to overcome one of its limits, you want to apply statuses to exceed one of those limits.
I was just going to go with wounded.
Wounded works. How many points would you like to put into it out of your 4?
Shoving all of them into it.
Wounded 4 it is. All right. And then we're going to have a consequence, though, as you stab this thing. It manages to, since you're the closest, you kind of see it's got a few like little wiggly vines that escape the fire out here, and they're not super strong like the ones that Fry burned away. So this is less than it would be. You're going to take restrained 1 as it kind of reaches out and snaps around your wrist. And fortunately, the one that was poisoned, so it also stings really bad as it squeezes your arm, and is trying to pull you in towards the toothy maw. Fry, what are you doing?
Seeing how effortlessly it just grabbed the log and threw it into the distance, now I'm like looking around. Since this is a mostly dead like farm area, are there like dried leaves, like twigs all around us too?
Ooh, I like that. I think what you find, I think there's probably like some there's some probably dead leaves you can find, or maybe like fallen thatching material from the roof.
Yeah, like some like dead foliage, something burnable that I can just grab, and this time to make it harder, I'm gonna light this on fire.
Okay.
In my hand, and just I want to get as much of this like flammable debris onto it. So I'm going to use simple magic tricks again.
Okay.
Work smarter, not harder.
Mm-hmm.
And dodge harm.
Ooh,
and
okay.
So
I'm gonna. Go ahead. I was going to say, whatever your final number is, you're also going to add 4 to it for its wounded status, which is definitely working against it here.
You said add 2 to it?
4. It has
4 to it. Okay.
It has wounded 4 from from Dunny's really, really good stab.
Got it. So
the idea is you're trying to get this fire into its gaping maw, I'm guessing. Dunny has
but then also spread onto the... Go ahead.
Dunny has kind of given it an even broader grin now, and you can see the inside of the thing. It's gross.
The last, that's dodge harm, that's dexterity, coordination, smarter, not harder, simple magic tricks, +4, plus the 4 wounded, so that's +8 total.
Okay.
So Fry's is going to grab just a handful of flammable debris, light it on fire in his hand, and then run, just avoiding the vines, and just throws all this fire onto its head, on its other heads, its limbs, and...
All right, give me a roll as you sprinkle fiery material all over this thing.
That is going to be 7 plus 8 is 15.
That'll do it. Okay, you have 8 power to spend. How bad would you like to mess this thing up?
So I'll use what level restrained is he? 2? Is Dunny?
Dunny is restrained 2, yes.
So I'll use 2 to take away those statuses so he's free.
Okay. Dunny, you are free.
And I kind of just want to like set this thing on fire so badly that it is the smoke of its own burning self is now outweighing the rotted stench it has.
Okay, so you're taking away foul stench, and you still have 4 power to spend.
Oh boy.
Just call it total immolation. Like this thing is just on fire.
You just want to add it to wounded? Get that wounded up to a ridiculous 8? Yeah. You circle this thing like some kind of weird fire fairy, and just like light it on fire. And before you really like, it catches here, it catches there, it catches on the vine that was holding Dunny, and it goes up. Like this thing goes up like It's surprising because you know that ooze is inside, but this thing is surprisingly flammable. And before you know it, it is burning to the ground, and the fog caused by the moldering jack clears around it. And you guys are able to see as this thing, it literally deflates like a rotting pumpkin should. And you see more of that weird ooze like spread and kind of seep out around the ground, and then just like into the ground. But the fog clears, and the clouds overhead have cleared, and the moon shines down on a field where the 3 of you are standing around a rotted pile of pumpkins, and Lissa is coughing up a lung because of mold. Yeah. But you have successfully overcome the challenge of the moldering jack. What
I did not expect that. I did not expect that. So we did hear like leaves and things shifting when we came up. Do we like? I would like to be very quiet. This is another thing I'm not going to be good at. And listen, is there anything else out there?
Give me. I was going to say, I won't really do a roll for this. No, the night is dead still at this point. You can reason that the moldering jack was probably following you up towards the house and waiting for one of you to come up.
Well, that's great. I should have... I need to read more fairy tales so I know how to avoid them in the future. Yeah, this...
I'd help Dunny up and tell Lissa we should go inside and get you checked out. And I'll grab a couple more logs of wood so we can properly light the hearth inside. And plan
Lissa is going to grab a couple of logs as well. This is the one thing she's good at.
You did it. You did find the fire supply.
The night is quiet with the exception of Lissa's coughing and just a loud profanity again from Dunny as his arm is burning from being grabbed in the same spot he was poisoned.
Oh, poor Dunny. Poor Dunny. Poor Lissa.
It's just a loud duck quack.
We did this to ourselves.
Okay, so you all go back inside. It almost seems homey if you ignore the collapsed room next door. When you light the fire in the hearth, suddenly things don't seem so bad. It feels a little more like home here. Is anyone going to attempt to address Lissa's mold problem?
Well, the one thing that once they're inside and they have a fire lit in the hearth, Dunny is going to flip the table over and slam it up against where the door was where they entered.
Nice. Yeah, there is a door there. It's not super sturdy, but you can definitely prop the table up against it to make it a little more secure.
I mean, I assume we have some standard traveling stuff like a water skin that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I drop the wood. I sit down and I'm like taking slow, careful zips and trying to calm down this cough.
Yeah, spitting anything out that feels like mold.
Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah. I'd say so. This will be another chance to kind of rest and camp, and so I would say by the next morning, you will have. So one of the things you can do when you camp in this game is you can take camping actions. And one of the ones that you can take is healing wounds, which will get rid of a condition like this one that wouldn't ordinarily go away. Yeah, resting expire statuses. Your character takes the time to recover and rest, and if any of your statuses are relevant, they are expired, and any burnt power tags are restored. So in this case, yes, I will. While you guys are resting, I will expire your moldy status. It feels so weird to give moldy to a person, but yeah.
It feels extremely unhealthy.
Yeah, significantly. God, imagine if you had access to social media, you might say terrible things right now. Anyway, that's an inside joke for the listeners. But you guys can pass the rest of the night fairly calmly. You don't hear anything else sneaking up to attack you. Is anyone else doing anything else in camp while you're hanging out this evening?
So Fry's he uses a little bit of the supplies for Oden and whatever else he can scrounge up to just make something to eat for everybody.
Yeah, you probably have some extra supplies for yourself. The idea is the things in your backpack are things that are the things that are tags in your backpack are things that are interesting or story relevant, but you're assumed to have stuff you need. Like you guys didn't leave town without food and water, for example.
Oh, got it. Yeah, okay. So this is just like a little bit of vegetables, some maybe like mushrooms. Yeah.
Okay. Dunny, what are you up to?
Dunny's mostly just resting and trying to take a better look at his arm.
Okay.
I was going to ask, so my resting probably doesn't remove poison, though, right?
Correct. Yeah, this is you kind of hoped maybe it would, but it doesn't seem to be going away. It doesn't seem to be spreading super fast, but you've noticed now you've exerted yourself in that fight, and it is a little higher up in your forearm, which is worrying.
One thing that he does do is he takes, after he cleans off the tip of the sword, he makes a small cut in his arm where the black lines are to see what comes out. Is it blood or is it black sludge or...
Mostly blood, partly ooze.
No.
Yeah, so it is...
Oh, no.
It is definitely spreading a little bit up there. So. Is anybody taking any other actions this evening, or shall we pass to the next morning?
They pass to the next morning for Fry.
Alyssa spends some time going through her notes, thinking about, okay, is there anything else terrifying that might be in these woods that I need to be ready for?
You find lots of examples of things that travelers on the road are supposed to be aware of. Hauntings in, open fields that seem, or not open fields, like open clearings that seem empty, or boggarts that might trick you and steal your things, or, bandits. Not that there are any bandits around here, and that's actually a perfectly normal hazard to run into.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's just like there were so many things, and she's now trying to keep tabs on all of them. Okay, so Moldering Jack was real, so now maybe this and this and this and this and this and that. She's kind of spiraling just a little bit here.
You know what? Let's make that spiraling useful. Give me a roll and add any relevant tags that you can think of. Remember that you're not moldy anymore.
Okay.
What a sentence.
So that's a 7 before adding tags. I would think a tag would be all in my notebook.
Oh, definitely, yes.
Protect our own.
Okay.
Trying to defend ourselves.
Okay.
I don't know. Could I use tags for Fry and Dunny, because Fry is my best friend and Dunny is my replacement younger brother, and I want to keep them safe as best I can.
I don't know. I don't know about those, but I will give you work smarter, not harder.
Okay. Wait. Okay. What's the math on that?
3. It would bring you to exactly a 10. Okay. So what I'm going to have you do is you're going to give yourself a temporary positive status. You are
amazing.
Yes. You are going to have the status Forewarned 3. As you brush up on everything you can think of that might ambush you in the woods on the way to Oden's.
God, why does that sound so
So-
ominous?
So many
I
things.
know. Why? Why would that sound ominous, you all? Okay.
I'm just preparing. I'm not panicking. I'm preparing.
Yes, we see. This is why we like role-playing games. They give us the chance to live out fantasies, like spiraling, becoming useful. Okay.
Or like
But
or like or like getting a full night's sleep.
Yeah, which you're about to do.
Amazing.
So you wake up the next morning to the chirping of birds in the distance. It is not quite sunny outside. It's another overcast day. Um, Peeking outside, it is not foggy anymore either, which I'm sure everyone is relieved to see. And you all can get on the road on your trip to go. I said you have two destinations now. I don't know who's thinking about going where. You remember that McCree pointed you towards a pond in an old watchtower as potentially being the source of these things, and clearing up Dunny's poison obviously is another reason for you all to head to Oden's. So, which one are you guys going to first, by the way? Because they're kind of in the same direction.
I think Odin.
Oden's, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure Dunny's more worried about the poison after seeing it's kind of spreading up his arm. Still just poisoned one for now. Okay. So you all make it to you leave these pumpkin fields behind and you head back into the woods. It's maybe a little spookier now that you know that there is weird stuff out there waiting for you in these abandoned places. You almost feel a strange presence that you can't see, but even if you're on edge, it's fine. It's fine. Nobody gets ambushed by anything. Although I'm sure Lissa is telling everyone about everything that they need to watch out for. If that bird calls 3 times, it's actually an evil spirit. But you find eventually the little path off of the main path that leads up towards Oden's hut. It's a hut, not even a hut. It's a cottage. It's a nice little forest cottage. A little clearing out front with a fire. Where you all find Oden, who is she's an older lady. You have no idea how old she is. She's been old since all of you were young, and she's still old. But she's out front working in her little vegetable garden, and she hears the 3 of you heading up the road well before. You should probably well before your footsteps give you away. So she kind of turns to face each of you as you're walking up this path. Okay, so Oden sees the 3 of you coming up, and she kind of leans on her walking stick, and she's like, "I don't remember asking for anybody to bring anything out to me. What can I do for you?"
Bryce steps
I'm going
forward
to.
Oh. No, go. You go ahead.
I'm going to grab Dunny by his uninjured arm and drag him forward.
Okay.
We had. I mean, I assume I'll need his cooperation for this, but that's my intent. And say, we have someone who's injured here, and we're hoping you could help.
It's fine. It's fine.
She just drags this big mountain of a man behind her. Yeah, that's fine. So she'll take Dunny's arm, and she kind of holds his arm with one gnarled hand. She's kind of tracing the path of the thing with with the finger, and she's like, "What did this? Where did this come from?"
It was a corpse. I think.
Yeah, there was like a walking corpse, and we took care of it. But then when I picked up its helmet, this goo fell on my arm, and then this happened.
She says, "Well, it's a good thing you came to me. These are old malignant spirits, the type we don't usually see in these lands, because no thaumaturges live that know how to summon them. This is it's a spirit of rot and decay, and at its core, what it wants to do is devour." And she kind of traces its path up your arm. She says, "Has it moved much in the past since whenever you got infected?"
Just a little bit yesterday. Not a ton, but just a little bit.
Because I'm concerned. I obviously don't want it to eat your arm, or the rest of you, because then you might turn out like the poor fool you got this from. All right, she says, "All right, let me think. Let me come inside, come inside. And she hobbles off towards her house fairly speedily. She seems fairly concerned about this thing.
I follow.
Yeah. And by the time you guys follow her inside, she's like reaching up for little bags that are hanging on the walls. Her house is it's cozy. It's kind of a cozy one-room cottage, but there's hanging bags of herbs and incense and things along the wall. It actually smells kind of pleasantly spicy in here. She's pulling things out. She's crushing them up in a mortar and pestle, and she adds some liquids, and she kind of boils this, and she divides it into 2 vials, and she hands you one of these vials, Dunny, and she says, "Take this one now, and it will at least temporarily dull the pain and keep it from moving any further up your arm." And she takes the other one, she sets it aside, and she says, "But it won't be a permanent cure. I need you to go find a sample of this from the source. From where? Do you know where it came from? You said a corpse, right? But that corpse had to come from somewhere."
We think we might know where it possibly came from. That was our next stop. And he takes what she gave him.
Yeah. Okay, so remove your poisoned one status for now. And she kind of pats you on the shoulder. She says, "That's why we like young people who can get around. Okay, if you know where this miasma came from, and you can bring me a sample of it, then it's the same idea as a regular venom and an anti-venom. I can make sure that you're fixed permanently."
He just kind of looks at the other two well, guess we know where we're going next.
After she gives it to Dunny, Fry's just going to sheepishly hold up the bag of supplies. Thank you. We brought this for you.
She takes it and she pats you on the hand and she says, "It's so nice to see that the young people of Ravenholm haven't forgotten their manners." She says, "Well, what are you waiting for then? Go, 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 go. Your friend's arm is at stake."
Is there anything else you could tell us about this before we get out? Is he going to be okay? For how long?
He'll be okay for a couple of days. If you can't find it, you'll need to come back and get some more of this, and I'll mix some more up for you. But to fix it permanently, you're going to need that miasma sample.
Well, let's hope.
She'll tell you that she kind of wondered if something like this might happen, which is why she was looking up the trail before you all came. You know that people who practice the old ways have mentioned that there is a presence that they occasionally claim to hear whispering to them in the woods. And she mentions that the whispering has been louder now, even when she's not trying to listen for it. Something out there is wrong, and I think your whatever caused this for you is I think that's the source of it. So you'd be doing not just Ravenholm, but also me and the surrounding dales a great favor by solving this problem. And she pats Dunny on the arm. She says, "And you'll save your arm. Isn't that great?"
I'd like to save the arm. Yes.
I imagine a big strong man like you probably needs both arms. All right. Well, so it sounds like she'll kind of usher you out of her hut because she's got stuff to do, and you're cured for now.
It's fine.
Yep. After tucking her food away that she's very grateful for. All right. And then we'll get into where you guys go after that. After this.
Blizzard Watch is made possible due to the generous contributions at patreon.com/blizzardwatch. Your continued support means that this podcast site and community is able to thrive and grow. Blizzard Watch supporters enjoy exclusive benefits like early access to the podcast, a better chance at having your question answered on our podcast for the queue, and an ads-free site experience. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you next time.